On the day the streets of New York were stained with blood, Emily Carter carried her father's body in her lap. The promise on the lips of a 12-year-old girl had turned into a blast today. They understood. I'm just a police officer. They didn't know I'm a storm. Emily Carter grew up in a small town in New York State. His father was an honest but tough police officer who was killed in a shootout while on duty. Emily was only 12 years old. That day, she had seen her mother broken for the first time. And that day, she had decided in her heart that she too would wear a uniform. But a uniform that would last. No, it will go down. It's not easy being a police officer in America. Here, the nexus of politics, media, and money with the law stands at every step. Emily worked very hard. She was considered to be a sharp mind, strong nerves, and a very honest officer. That is why it was deployed in the most sensitive areas of the city. One day, he received a report. The report seemed like a trivial matter. But Emily's eyes lit up with anger as she read deeper. The land of poor families in an old industrial area of the city had been illegally occupied. There were small shops through which people used to make a living. But now, a big commercial project was coming up there. The original owners of the land were tired of doing the rounds of the courts. The occupier was not an ordinary person. He was the son of Richard Blake. The Black family was one of the most powerful business families in the United States. Politicians used to win elections on their donations. The media used to run on their advertisements. And many police officers used to change the route in their name. But Emily didn't change. He decided to go by himself. When she got there, she saw that machines were running. Walls were being torn down. And old people were sitting quietly on the side of the road. An old woman took Emily by the arm and said, "Daughter, this shop was my husband's sign. Don't let him down." There was something in Emily's throat. He asked for papers. The documents that were shown were clearly fake. He no longer had any doubts. That's what Emily decided. Legal permission was taken. A court order was obtained. And the police force swung into action. 78 shops were sealed in a single day. The bulldozers stopped, construction stopped, and the entire area came under police control. The media was there. The camera began to move. The headline became, "American female officer shuts down illegal empire in one day." Poor people were crying, but there were tears of joy. He prayed for Emily. But Emily knew that she had stepped on the tail of a huge lion. That night, a black car stopped outside his apartment. Emily looked out the window. "Ring the phone." "Officer Carter, you have done a great disservice today." The sound was quiet, but the danger was hidden in it. "I just followed the law." "The law is not the same for everyone," the voice said. "Especially for those who have everything." The collies hove. The next day, Ethan Black showed up at police headquarters. Expensive suit, confident face, and pride in the eyes. He sat in front of Emily and smiled and said, "You are an excellent officer. Emily, the U.S. needs police." He placed a file on the table. Inside the file was a check for several $1,000,000. "This is an offer. Remove that cell. We'll all be happy." Emily closed the file and pushed the table back towards her. "You have come to the wrong office." Ethan's smile faded away. You don't know who you are," Emily said, "and you have no idea what I stand for." Ethan got up and walked away, saying, "This stubbornness will cost you dearly." Emily's life changed. Investigations have been initiated against him. There were obstacles in his work. His files are missing. His role has been questioned in the media. There was a campaign against him on social media. One night, there was a shooting outside his house. No one was hurt, but the message was clear. Not Emily Dre, but she understood that it was no longer just a case. This was a war. She fell silent. From outside. Inside, he began to explore the entire empire of the Black family. Tax fraud, money laundering, illegal lands, political bribes, everything. He had all the evidence. Every contact is noted. Each victim's statement was recorded. Months have passed. Ethan Black was pleased. She felt like Emily had been strangled. But he didn't know that when an American policeman fell silent. It was the silence before the storm. In the morning, the whole city woke up. The FBI, internal affairs and federal agencies raided the Black Empire. Bank accounts frozen, offices sealed, computers seized, and Ethan Blake arrested. Emily was standing in front of Ethan when he was presented in court. There was no pride in his eyes, only peace. Ethan shook his head and said, "You won." Emily replied softly, "It wasn't a win. It was justice. The poor got their lands back. 78 stores have reopened. And the power of the Black family became history. Emily Carter still patrols the streets of the United States in uniform. The only difference is that his name is now written as an example in the law books. Because when an honest American cop takes revenge, that's not revenge. That's the victory of the law. A new stage of silence began in Emily's life. In the office she now spoke less, focused more on her work. His friends noticed the change. Some thought it was broken by pressure from the Black family, but those who were close. They knew that Emily's silence was like the depths of a river, apparently calm. But there was a lot going on inside. She would wake up at 5 a.m. every morning, exercise, then come to the office and study the files. At night, she would sit in her small apartment and make charts of the Black family's business network. He knew that Ethan Black's arrest was just the beginning. The family had deep roots in the community. One night, while she was investigating on her computer, she received a strange email. There was no text in the email, only a file attached. Upon opening the file, they found some confidential papers of the Black family's bank, some of which had been marked. It was information from an insider. Emily immediately traced the email. But it was a temporary email address sent from a public computer. The following week, he recalled an old incident when his father told him that sometimes informers also work for justice, but they should always listen carefully. Emily included this information in her records, but did not talk to anyone about it. Emily felt that there was an unseen war going on around her. On the one hand, the Black family's lawyers and political allies were building cases against him in the courts. On the other hand, some people were quietly helping him. One day, as she was leaving the court, a middle-aged man handed her an envelope. He took the envelope in his hand and left without saying a word. When Emily opened the envelope, it contained a picture of a close associate of Ethan Blake, taking money from someone. There was a note on the back of the picture. Emily decided that she would go to that address. She arrived at an abandoned warehouse located in an old industrial area. Inside sat an elderly man who had been working with the Black family. He tells Emily how the Black family has controlled the city's politics and economy for decades. He gave a diary containing details about the illegal businesses of the Black family. "I kept quiet for many years," said the old man. "But when I saw that you dared to stand against Ethan, I thought it was time." Based on these reports, Emily broadened her investigation. He realized that the Black family's network was not limited to just one city, but extended to the entire state level. Emily knew she needed more resources. He decided to contact federal agencies. In the initial meetings, he was met with coldness. Some officers were afraid of the Black family's influence, while others ignored him as a small-town police officer. But Emily didn't give up. He presented his evidence in such a way that denial was not possible. Finally, an experienced FBI agent listened to him. The agent's name was Marcos, who himself had been conducting a secret investigation against the Black family for several years. Emily and Marcos began working together. His team was gradually joined by more people who were fed up with the oppression of the Black family. Some of them were former employees, some affected businessmen, and some were politicians who had tried to raise their voice against the mistakes of the Black family. During the investigation, Emily learned that the Black family had not only been in illegal possession of land, but were also guilty of money laundering, tax evasion, and even harboring some of the most dangerous criminals. One day, Emily received another threatening message outside her house. This time, the message read, "Stop your investigation. Otherwise, your mother may be harmed." Emily's mother still lived in Roxbury. Emily immediately called her mother and shifted her to a safe place. This incident further strengthened Emily's resolve. In the final stages of the investigation, Emily and her team decide to arrest all the members of the Black family by raiding all the locations at once. It was a dangerous operation, but it was necessary. The night before the operation, Emily stood in silence for a while in front of her father's portrait. He remembered what his father had said a few days before his death. "Always remember, Emily, that the path of justice is not easy, but it is the path that makes us human." Early the next morning, Emily began the operation with her team. Raids were conducted at multiple locations across the city at the same time. Officials from the FBI, police, and other federal agencies worked together. Ethan Black was arrested at his home. Her father, Richard Blake, who was considered a powerful industrialist, was also arrested. Other family members and friends were also arrested. In court, the Black family's lawyers did everything they could to save them. But the evidence Emily and her team gathered was so strong that they had no justification. During the trial, Emily testified. She told the court how her father's death forced her to follow the path of justice. She told about all those whose lives were destroyed by the oppression of the Black family. In the court's decision, most members of the Black family were sentenced to long prison terms. Their properties were confiscated and their businesses were closed. After the trial, Emily met with all the people whose lands had been returned. The old woman who had asked Emily for help the day before hugged Emily and said, "Your father would be proud of you." Emily smiled and replied, "I was just doing my duty." After this incident, Emily realized that the purpose of her life was not just to win a case. She decided that she would work for justice for the rest of her life. He established an organization that aimed to provide legal aid to the poor and vulnerable. Today, Emily Carter not only works as a police officer, but she is a role model for young women who want to get into the law field. She goes to schools and colleges to teach the youth the importance of justice. His story has inspired many people. Many young people have followed his example and joined the police force. Emily knows that the fight for justice never ends. There are new challenges every day. After the success of Emily Carter, everything seemed to be back to normal. His fame spread throughout the country. The media called her the Iron Lady of the Police. His case studies were taught in universities. He has received awards at the national level. But Emily knew that the defeat of the Black family was only the beginning of a war. There was a huge lobby behind it that was still active. One day, while Emily was sitting in her new office now that she had been promoted to head of the city's Special Crimes Unit, she received a strange phone call. The caller described himself as a silent friend. "Officer Carter, you captured Ethan Blake. But do you know that his sentence is going to be commuted in prison?" The voice said. Emily asked me, "How can you forget? The Black family lawyer is one of America's best lawyers. They are appealing that the evidence was obtained incorrectly. And the judges are people, too." A strange uneasiness arose in Emily's heart. He immediately called his colleagues and asked them to check the latest status of Blake's case. He was surprised when the reports came. Indeed, Ethan Blake's request for a sentence reduction was being considered. The new lawyers had argued that Emily had gathered evidence illegally. Emily decided that she would pursue the case herself. He was present at every court hearing. One day, as she walked out of court, a middle-aged lawyer stopped her. "Officer Carter, my name is Alex Marshall. I appreciate your case against the Black family." He spoke. Emily looked at him carefully. "I want to help you," Alex has said. "I know the Black family has a secret document with the names of all the judges and politicians they've been buying for years. If we get that document, Ethan Blake will never be able to come out." "And how do you know that such a document exists?" Emily asked me. "I have worked for this family." Alex nodded. "But now my conscience reproaches me." Emily was skeptical, but she decided to meet Alex the following week. They met in a quiet cafe. Alex reveals that the Blake family has a secret safe in the basement of their old hotel. The hotel is now closed, but its basement is still safe. Alex has said, "If you get those documents from there, you can expose the corruption of the entire system." Emily told federal agencies about this, but they made it clear that they could not do anything without a search warrant. And it was impossible to obtain a search warrant because the judge himself was with the Blake family. Emily made a difficult decision. He gathered a few of his trusted associates and secretly planned to enter the basement of the hotel. It was dangerous, but it was necessary. At 10 o'clock at night, Emily and her 3 trusted companions entered through the back door of the hotel. The building was old and dilapidated. There was a thick layer of dust on the floor. The plaster was falling off the walls. The basement door was a heavy iron gate with a complex lock on it. A colleague of Emily's, who was an expert at opening locks, opened the lock within a few minutes. It was dark in the room. In the light of the torch, he saw that there were piles of old files. After several minutes of searching, they found an iron safe. It took a while to open the box, but they finally succeeded. There were hundreds of documents in the box. Each document contained the name of a judge, politician, or police officer, bribed by the Black family. Everything was listed, from the details of the money to the date, even the locations of the meetings. Emily saved the documents. He knew that, on the basis of these documents, the entire city's justice system would be shaken. The next day, Emily called the media for a press conference. He declassified all the documents. There was an earthquake all over the country. Within a week, action began against 3 judges, 5 politicians, and several police officers. Ethan Black's appeal was dismissed. Now he has not only been convicted of land grabbing, but also new cases of bribery and corruption. But Emily's troubles were not over. The people whose names appeared in the documents now considered Emily to be their enemy. One night, as she was driving home, a car stopped in front of her. 3 men got out. "Give us the documents," said one. Emily tried to run away, but they were ready. They pulled him out of the car. Emily competed, which she was taught at the academy. He knocked down one attacker, hit another, but the third hit him in the head from behind. Emily was stunned. When she opened her eyes, she was in a dark room. His hands were tied behind his back. They knew that these were the remaining supporters of the Black family. "Where are the documents?" There was a voice. "You never will," said Emily. They began to kill him. But Emily didn't give up. He knew his friends were looking for him. In fact, Emily was careful. He kept the original copies of the documents in a safe place. At the same time, he had a tracker installed. In his phone, that was, telling his location to his colleagues. 2 hours later, the police raided the building. Emily was saved. The attackers were arrested. Following the incident, security was beefed up. But he didn't give up. She decided that she would change not just the criminals, but the entire corrupt system. He started calling America Canopy. The purpose of this campaign was to reforming the legal system. People started to connect with him. Young people, lawyers, teachers, even some honest politicians became a part of his movement. Within a year, Emily's efforts led to the passage of 3 new laws that brought transparency to the police and courts. Under these laws, it was now necessary to declare the assets of every official, and a system of immediate action was created against bribe takers. Emily was no longer just a police officer. He became a social reformer. His story was made into a movie. Books have been written, but Emily continued her struggle on the ground. One day, he got a call from his old hometown of Roxbury. The caller was his old friend, who had now become the police captain there. You remember Amelia, the old woman whose shop you saved? The friend asked. Yes. Why? Dead. But when he died, he called your name. She said that her shop is now run by her granddaughter, and she gives you prayers. There were tears in Emily's eyes. He realized that his struggle was not just a battle for the law. It was a fight to bring justice in the lives of common people. Today, Emily Carter is still sticking to her mission. They know that there will always be obstacles in the way of justice, but they will not give up. Because when one resolves, the mountains also move. His story didn't end. It's still ongoing. Every day, she takes on new challenges. And every day, she proves that the power of an honest man is greater than any wealth and power. Emily Carter's struggle is not just one person's story. This is the story of all those who stand up for justice. This is the story of an America that is still the land of dreams, where every person can get justice, provided one is willing to fight for it. Emily will continue to fight.